Alright, so in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I finish up the 5th 6 weeks project step 3. Notice I have the 5th 6 weeks project part 1 up here at the top. I have the 5th 6 weeks project part 2 here in the middle. If I made any mistakes, I went back and corrected them. What I'm going to do now before I get started in step 3 is I'm going to go ahead and add myself a nice dividing line in here. And so what I'm going to do, hopefully you guys remember from the last video, is I'm going to use the button for the dash, which is between the 0 and the equal sign, and I'm going to hit shift and then that button to make a couple of underscores, and then I'm going to hit enter, and it gives me that nice dividing line. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I don't have any extra space after that. So I want one line, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a table, and it's going to be a 2 by 1 table, so 2 columns, 1 row. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to GeoGebra, which is my preferred method over Desmos. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start typing in my original function, which is x to the 5th plus 24x to the 4th plus 75x to the 3rd minus, I'm up there still on the exponents, so plus 75x to the 3rd minus 2146x squared minus 17836x minus 22040. All right, so there's my current graph. Notice it only really shows me kind of 3 what look like straight lines. So there's a couple of options that I have to do. Number one, I do really want to find out what these roots are, what these x-intercepts are. So notice that's the really important one, the one that I need. So what I actually did was I just clicked on that dot, and it pops up and says root and tells me what the coordinates are. I'm going to go ahead and check what these others are, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write them on a piece of paper, and I'll come back to that in a second, and you'll see what I do with them then. So like I said, I'm just writing the points on a piece of paper just so I have them down. Ooh, that's a nice one, just 10. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, just to make sure I can see everything nicely, I'm going to come up here to this the gear, and I'm going to click on it. And it gives me options of show axes, show grid. I might actually want to turn off the show grid part. It might actually be helpful, you know, or maybe to show major grid lines, etc., etc. I'm going to go under settings, and it says X to Y axis. Well, if you notice when I was doing these numbers, like from -2 to -1, there was a really big change, like in the thousands. So every x-axis is moving by 1. I'm going to make this a big number. I'm going to make it, I don't know, let me just do 1,000 and see what happens. So if I make it 1,000, that's a little bit better of a graph, because now notice I can see where it kind of comes up and comes back down. I might actually make it a little bit bigger as far as that relationship. So let me see. Well, it maxes out at about 1,000 anyways. Okay, so there's not much more I can do to make this accurate, except for just zooming out. So I can either use the toggles here, or I can I'm using my mouse to scroll a little bit. But so there's the function right there. So it kind of shows what's happening here. And like I said, I'm just kind of scrolling out a little bit to see if I can get a good view of it. And then maybe I'll zoom back in so I can try to fit it all on one screen. That looks like it's about all on one screen. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to type in those points. So my first one was the really important one, the -1.57 or -1.5227744249,483, comma 0. There's the dot. 10, comma 0 was one of the others. Dot. And the last one was -12.4772255750517, comma 0. Now notice right now it's got A, B, and C. I don't really want A, B, and C. I would much prefer to have these with their actual coordinates on them. So I'm going to click on the dot. I'm going to go to settings. It gives me this menu over here. And under show label, I'm going to change it from name to value. And that kind of gives me the option of writing down what it is. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to change it for value. And I'm going to kind of move it around a little bit so I can see it better. Do the last one, value. There we go. So now I can kind of see everything that I want to see. It shows up pretty nicely on here. So now that I've gotten all of my little bits of information. I might, could zoom in and see the best looking graph that I can find, make sure everything lines up in a way that I can see everything kind of nicely as far as in the graph, because it's important to be able to see what you're looking at. So I think that's probably pretty good. I might zoom in just a little bit more. There we go. That's written pretty nicely. So now that I've gotten everything written pretty nicely, I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is go ahead and copy my picture. Remember, I'm going to click on these three bars, come down here to export image, and copy to clipboard. Then I'm going to go back to my Word document, and I'm going to just paste it. Just paste the image. And, ooh, that's a big image. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit, just so I can try to get it on one page. See if I can get it down on one page. I might have to adjust my view window when I do this, because otherwise it looks like it's very, very difficult to get this picture on one page. The other option I could do is I could also adjust my margins. Let me see what I do there. If I adjust my margins, let me make custom margins. We'll make the top 0.5. We'll make the bottom 0.5. We'll see if I can get it all on one page. That's fine. And it adjusted my margins when I hit fix instead of when I hit ignore. I need to hit ignore. That's what I'm going to do. Hit ignore. There it goes. It adjusted it. Nope, still not quite all on one page. Let me see if I can shrink it down a little bit more. There we go. Now it's on one page. So what else I can do? I can kind of shrink down this last little bit so it doesn't have that extra space at the end. I do really want to try to find a way to make it. I might have to adjust some of these like places where there's extra space. I really want to try to get as much of this picture as I can on here, at least so I can read it nice and well. So let's see. Maybe if I get rid of this border around this table, I might be able to do that. No, that didn't quite do it. Well, let's see if we can go back and maybe adjust a few places. Because like I said, it's just going to be kind of a guess and test at this point to try to make everything fit on one page. The more I can fit on one page, the happier I will be. Let's see if I can get rid of some extra space elsewhere. Because that's all I want, is I want to be able to see as much as I can of this graph, because that graph is really important. Okay, so let's see. I know there's some space extra in some of these spots, so I just wanted to try to clear up as much as I could. That way, like I said, I want to get this as big as I can without making it onto another page. All right, like I said, I'm just gonna try to minimize that last dot on the end. All right, so now that I got all that taken care of, all that's on there, you can still kind of read my numbers pretty well. I might end up doing a little bit more adjusting after this is all over. But so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back up and I'm going to go to Wolfram Alpha. I love Wolfram Alpha. Wolfram Alpha is a fun thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the word X, intercept, and I'm going to type of X to the 5th plus 24X to the 4th plus 75X to the 3rd minus 2146X squared minus 178, whoop, that's a 9, 836 minus 22040. And it should give me some answers here. Did I make a typo? X to the 5th plus 24x to the 4th plus 75x cubed minus 2146x squared. Oh, yeah, I missed the x. All right, there we go. Got the x now. All right, let's see. There we go. There's these nice exact answers here. Look at those beautiful exact answers. All right, so I'm going to write down these answers real fast. So we've got 10 as one of my x-intercepts. We've got -7 minus the square root of 30 as another. And then we've got the square root of 30 minus 7 as the other. All right, so I'm going to switch back over to my graph, or to my paper in just a second. The other one that I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the approximate forms. And I'm going to get some extra digits because I always like having extra digits. So let me write these down. So we have one that's -12.477226. We have one that's negative 1.5227744. Let me switch back to exact form so I remember which one is which. So this square root of 30 minus 7 was the one I was looking for. The square root of 30 minus 7 was the one I was looking for. All right. I'm going to switch back to my paper. And since I remember having, I'll show you again, I had this big table right here. What I did was I just left this spot, and I'm going to go back and hide the border. All right. And so I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to write actual x intercepts, and I'm going to make myself a little list. So x equals 10 was one of the ones that I really thought was nice and pretty. Then I've got x equals negative 7 minus, and I'm going to come up here to the radical. I'm going to click and get a square root of 30. Then I've got over here some options, and I'm going to use this for approximately, and that's negative 12.4477226. And the last one that I had was x equals, and that one was the square root of 30 minus 7. I could have also written this as, and I think that's probably the way I would prefer it, just because it looks more like what we normally do. It's going to be the negative 7 plus the square root of 30. And again, I'm going to go back up and put that little squiggle for approximately. And that one was negative 1.5227744. Now, if you compare my answers from before, I was pretty darn close on both of those. So the last thing I'm going to do, because I always like having things centered, is I'm just going to highlight this information, come up to table layout next to table design. I'm going to click this button that puts it in the center of the table. So, all right, hopefully that helps you guys along with all of this stuff and, you know, get you moving along with the rest of this project. This last part really shouldn't be too difficult. Again, you just go to Desmos or GeoGebra, get it graphed, and then go to Wolfram Alpha to get the exact answers. Make sure you please use both just so I have everything written down correctly. All right, if you've got questions, let me know. If not, have a great day. Good luck.